Hello, everybody. My name is Bard, and did you guys know that the D12 is underrated? But I don't think you're ready for that conversation. So instead, we're talking about NPCs, beloved NPCs. Today with me are my buddy Ryan
Ew.
and my brother Brandon.
Howdy.
Yeah, fellas, NPCs. They're
I
everywhere.
do love NPCs.
Everyone loves them.
Well,
But specifically, the topic is Brandon brought it. It's beloved NPCs. So NPCs
yeah.
from campaigns that we absolutely adored, or ones that are very memorable, and also kind of a little bit of suggestions on how to make NPCs that are beloved. So Brandon, I'll let you take it.
Sure. Well, let's start with NPCs that were like dearly beloved to us, I guess. And then we can get into like why they were so beloved and like how we go about making them.
Classic.
But like at least for me, like probably the most beloved NPC you've ever made, brother, is our dear Stone Tongue.
Stone Tongue. Stone Tongue was an accident, which I think is hilarious. Which was good. Is a whole thing I'm gonna bring up later, but
Sure. But like for context for our listeners, Stone Tongue is a kobold who has aspirations to be an entrepreneur, as my brother would always phrase it, right? Um, Stone Tongue originally was just some like random ass NPC that showed up. My bard decided he wanted a pet kobold, and I was very persistent in ensuring that he got that pet kobold. So my brother, being a wonderful DM, eventually acquiesced to my demands, and we had a pet kobold on the party, much to Stone Tongue's chagrin.
yeah, I think at one point or another, a party always adopts at least like a party mascot, and Stone Tongue became that.
I mean, it led to
Um,
some great like gameplay moments.
oh,
So
it led to some great moments. Cause like like I have wholeheartedly admitted this to my brother, and I think to Ryan at some point, but the session where Stone Tongue was killed by accident, was it accident? I think it was an accident.
we'd have to get into the whole lore if we want to really discuss that context.
There's a whole lot. All I'm saying is Stone Tongue has led to some sessions where I as a DM have had to sit back and go, I have lost all control of this situation. Which I think is both very funny and very terrifying as a DM.
For sure, especially when you're like, okay, I am making up all of this by the seat of my pants, and I have no idea how or where this is going to end, right?
Yeah.
But
So
like as a player, like it, I mean, I've mentioned on the same side, like that session was particularly memorable for me because not only did it feel like it was a heavily player-driven session, but like there was heavy like emotional investment in what was going on in the session, right?
right. Which
So for me, like it stood out as like one of our most memorable sessions we've played, and I think I've been playing with you guys since I came back for what, 3 years now?
when you got back from Virginia, right?
Yeah, which was like
Yeah, 21.
early 2021, somewhere
So
around there.
4-ish years, 3.5 years.
Yeah, somewhere around there.
Yeah, somewhere around there. Yeah, he's been playing for a while. And you've mentioned to me that you're like building your own version of Stone Tongue because he was such a memorable NPC, which I love to hear. Even though like I admit sometimes I'm like, I'm really annoyed that you guys want Stone Tongue to come back every time. Like I appreciate his memorability.
Which I think at this point is just kind of like every session's probably going to wind up with some version of Stone Tongue. Maybe not like as plot critical as that first campaign, where it was like he became the party mascot, and then because he was murdered, there was like a whole quest where we wind down burning down a tavern and like revenge for Stone Tongue, right? But like, for example, when we were playing your 1940s campaign, Stone Tongue showed up for a couple sessions, just because it means a lot to like the group as a whole. So in the
Yeah,
Kingmaker campaign, I was like, because like the first chapter has such like a heavy mix with kobolds, and Stone Tongue is a kobold, it means something to the party. Like I'll bring them in, right?
right.
One, because like even if it's a little bit of metagaming, like it incentivizes the party to want to engage with those specific quests. Plus, like as a DM, I know like they're probably going to want to adopt him, which gives me like tooling in my bag for further emotional investment when I can put him in peril, right?
Yeah, no, exactly. I love it. I love it. Even though that kobold haunts me sometimes, like in a good way. Don't get me wrong. Ryan, how about
Probably should have
you?
picked.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Brennan.
I was gonna say you probably should have picked a like easier accent to do with Stone Tongue.
What? What? He just sounds like Inigo. He just sounds like Inigo from Skyrim. That's not all that hard to do.
I'm glad you find it easy. It
Oh,
destroys my throat
I'm
every
sorry
time
you
I have to do
struggle with
it.
it. Anyway, Ryan, how about you? Memorable NPCs that you've either played with or made?
Probably one that's on both sides is the Great and Wise Couch Potato.
Oh,
Um, is he's kind of been a character that gets adopted into any, maybe not any, but most campaigns that we do. It's kind of this world traveling, cross dimensional being that has been given. We've been able to put him in our own campaigns, like when I've run games as well. For context, he's a world hopping interdimensional merchant who is a couch potato, but is also a very cranky merchant, and he has an assistant alongside him named Pippin, who can turn into a four-armed beast. And he sells a large variety of wares, sometimes as a tool to introduce fun and unique things into the campaign that might be a little bit difficult to shoehorn in somewhere else. And his story and where he is changes over time. Sometimes he's earlier in his career, sometimes he's later in his career, sometimes he's off and about and Pippin has taken over. But I think it's a very interesting way for people to introduce, especially like homebrew items and more items on the sillier side for the party, whether that is something that they're looking for or something that you kind of want to put into their field of vision to see if they want it, see if they take it. I think it's
yeah.
an interesting character to work with.
Yeah, no, I think he's great. And once again, kind of an accident on my end. Because that was a Halloween joke, like a Halloween gag.
Mhm.
Not even in game. Not even in game. I created him. We were at a Halloween thing, and I'd been dragged along by my dad. I didn't really want to be there. And so I started messing around and was pretending I was this wizard who is like all knowing and all powerful, called the Great and Wise Couch Potato, and it gave me an excuse to like yell at children and give them candy. Um and I still do that. I still like I still do that every Halloween, and I needed a reason to like explain why like Ryan was also yelling at kids, so I started calling him Pippin, and that it became this whole thing that we ended up putting into the game that was like totally not even something that like I meant to add. It just, I was like, oh, this is hilarious. I'm gonna do it, right? Which, again, I actually really love when you guys bring him in. Um, like it makes me smile. It's so fun. It's so fun to see the Great and Wise Couch Potato show up in games where I like you guys are DMing, because it's like I get to see how you guys interpret and use the character, which I think is hilarious. So, and so like on that as well, like for me, favorite NPC right now is probably Pendragon, in our current game. This 12-year-old that you guys ended up adopting, which uh again wasn't really supposed to happen. Like I had it written as like this little squire takes you to this important part of the story at the time, right? And Heather and my dad and Levi and Raj, they were like, oh, I love this little kid. He's so full of energy and stuff like that. And like I threw
Well,
in.
the mistake on your end was assuming that your
Yeah.
father wouldn't try and adopt him, because that's just kind of his thing.
I know. He likes helping people who need it, right? But like this, it's like it's always a mistake. It's always a mistake that like I introduce a silly little guy, and I'm like, this will be so funny, to introduce him for, a game, right? A session. It gives me something, and then the whole group is like, I love him. I want him so much, and I'm like, oh, okay. So
I don't know about the whole group. I think he's a fun character, but I had no intention of adopting
oh, I
him.
know you had no intention. I don't think Rob had any intention either. Like, but so now they've got this little 12-year-old running around named Pendragon, who I'm like, I've been writing up this whole thing about how he's gonna get older and stronger if he survives, right? Becomes a member of this adventuring crew, and so that's been kind of fun. And the other one I want to bring up before I kind of jump to something different in conjunction NPCs was one of the first NPCs I ever created was Dale.
Mm.
So my very first campaign running it with my friends, we were playing 5th edition. This was like 2017 or something. I made a joke when they pushed a goblin off a bridge during a fight that his name was Dale, and his friend like calls out, I was like, I want to make it kind of emotionally impactful. So they killed his goblin, and his friend's like, no, Dale, and it became this on-running gag that Dale kept getting like reincarnated and killed off all the time because he was always a reincarnation of some enemy, and he showed up, I think, in always like really big fights. So I don't know, I love Dale.
I would kill or die for Dale. Kill or die.
And so that leads me into something where it's like, for you guys, do you think some of your favorite NPCs are ones that have been like meticulously crafted, or does it normally come from things like found gameplay?
I think to your point, like in almost every instance, you keep saying like, oh, it was an accident that this occurred. Whereas like to me that just says it was less like an accident, quote unquote, is more like found gameplay among the party, where it's like my brother knows like his family has a weakness for silly NPCs that are little guys with silly voices, right? And every time a silly little guy with a silly little voice shows up, I'm naturally going to be like, you belong to me now. Like,
You're my friend now. We're having soft tacos
exactly.
later.
Exactly, right? So to me that just speaks like that like the best NPCs are the ones that the party naturally just like gravitates towards and wants to like continue interacting with. Because for example, like in my Starfinder game, I had a very meticulously crafted NPC, Zoidberg, right, from Futurama.
Right.
And like I as a DM love Zoidberg. I kept trying to inject him into the game. I had a whole crazy lore where like his species had been enslaved and then like cloned to be like the like working class for the evil corporation you were working for, right?
Right.
Almost every session I brought in Zoidberg, the party seemed fairly like apathetic towards him, right? Kind of like, oh good, not this guy
Oh
again, right?
great,
To the
not
point where like I'd set up this encounter where like this evil like fey god had showed up, right? And was like, "Wah ha ha! Like you can't get away unless you make like an evil deal with me." And the whole party was like, "Well, what if you make it with Zoidberg instead?" And I was like, "Oh, beans!"
Zoidberg.
Like,
I feel so bad about that still that we gave him a Zoidberg.
yeah, so you just like sold my NPC to like indentured servitude to this fey god to get away from him, right? Which I think is great gameplay, but like every instance, like as a DM where I tried to inject this NPC that I had like meticulously worked on, like just was not landing.
Right.
Whereas, for example, you bring up like Pendragon or Stone Tongue or the Great and White Couch Potato with Pippin, like they're just characters that came in, like probably not intended to last long, and the party loved them, and therefore they stuck around.
Right. Which, yeah, it's like, cause like I've had some planned NPCs that I think go really well, and they work to an extent. But like nothing beats improvisation. I think we're with almost everything, with flying on the seat of your pants. And I'm not saying like, don't prepare. Being prepared is always good, but I have found that when I improvise a lot of my things, I lean into my strengths and the things I know that our group will like, which inadvertently creates things you guys end up loving.
For sure. And I think that's a great point. Like, because like on the flip side, like all of the NPCs that the party have winded up hating is usually like the opposite of the silly little guys, right?
Right.
For example, like in Kingmaker, like everyone wants to kill Tartuccio because he was really rude to the party.
Yeah. No,
The end.
no, that, to be fair though, like, what I think is really funny was you made him such a compelling villain, not because he was like oh, I'm super evil and I'm gonna take over the world. He was just like, I think you look kind of stupid and you're dumb. And 3 of our players were like, I don't care what the rest of the plot of this game is. Like, I want to go and kill that guy, which I'm like, apparently, like, insults are a driving motivation to go fight bad guys.
For sure. And I think like the reason for that is like that's deeply personal, right? Like, sure, I can kind of get behind like, oh no, there's an evil bad guy who wants to kill the world, and that's bad because I live in the world, right? But
Oh
like,
no.
it's a lot more personally motivating when you're like, I hate this guy specifically because he said my nose was too big, and therefore, like, I want to fight him, right?
I
Like,
want to fight him. Yeah, no, it's
eh,
just. I feel like every time, specifically, it's like Steve. I can point to Steve, our barbarian in our group. It does not matter what's going on in the plot. The moment someone insults Steve's character, Steve like drops whatever he's doing, and he's like, "All right, so we're dealing with this guy first." And it
which
becomes
I'm not gonna lie, like as a DM, like knowing players' tendencies a bit makes it really easy for when I want to like cause violence in a situation, right?
sure,
Where if like I want to like okay, like my end goal is I want this to escalate into combat, like normally like the NPC is probably just gonna be really mean.
right. Um, on the topic of developing NPCs, like when you do develop NPCs and make them, I guess I'll start with Ryan on this one. It's like, how do you go about that process of making your NPCs? Like, do you give them names and backstories, or is it just kind of like a name and a little note and like where they are, and then you just kind of go?
Um, I think I've always specifically struggled with making NPCs. In part because I don't think I have a very thorough background to them. Um,
Oh, is that Raj?
Uh,
Hey, sorry, Ryan. Really quick, Raj, welcome to the D12 podcast.
I'm more particular to the D8 podcast, but for you guys, I pulled a few strings.
sorry to cut you off. Go ahead, Ryan.
I think generally my first thought when I have an NPC is, oh, I need some kind of moving piece here, and this person is going to be that moving piece. And so I think I really struggled to actually put in personality or something likable about them. A lot of the NPCs I've introduced before, the party's just kind of bounced off of or immediately assume that they're evil. I had one NPC that I believe his name was Alexander. I'm not 100% sure about that.
Is that the werewolf?
No.
Okay.
He was meant to be overly confident and a little annoying. But apparently the party thought he was too annoying and too overconfident and thought he was evil and wanted to kill him a lot. You were being a little bit murder hobo.
I agree
But
with that. I remember this. Was this the NPC that showed up after the world froze over?
yes.
Okay. I have my
Oh
reasons
yeah,
for why
we
we
hated
wanted.
that
I
guy.
have my reasons for why I wanted to kill him, and it wasn't because of his personality. It was the fact that we came out of a cave, the world was frozen over, and there was no one else but this Alexander guy. And I was like, that's weird. That's suspicious. I think this guy might be evil.
We'll kill him to make sure.
That's exactly how it went.
Who's gonna know? Everybody's frozen.
Anyway, but yeah, I think the important things to consider are their background, their personality, and how they're going to interact with the party, and not just as a moving piece in the grand scheme of things.
Right.
At least for a long-term NPC. Like I've had short-term NPCs, like a pirate captain that you had to kind of finagle with to be able to get what you needed, but I think that worked out decently. But yeah, long-term, I think I've struggled because I didn't put in the thought on some of those things I mentioned.
Sure. And it's like I take the Matthew Mercer approach when I make NPCs, where it's like I have their name, their race, I have like a short little sentence about their personality and where they are. And specifically normally it pertains to like shopkeepers or important people in the city or like people that might end up giving a quest, because like I've got like side quests in cities most of the time right now. And it's like, oh, I've got this short little blurb, and that's how I make them. And then once again, it's just off the seat of my pants, hoping it works out. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. Raj,
Mm.
how about you? How do you make NPCs since you
So,
graced us with your presence?
Thank you, thank you. So I'm at the opposite end of this spectrum. I very rarely, if ever, plan out NPCs. I'm a more of a quality over quantity in this type of thing. I improv characters, and whichever ones my party seems to like the most, they get named, and they maybe get a backstory after the session. Who knows?
It's like, hey man,
Uh,
you were good. You get a name now.
you get a name, you get a family, mayhaps. You get to be important. That's sort of how I do things. Usually, when I have like NPCs that are more for plot requirements, at least for our party, you tend not to like them. I don't know what that the deal is with this. I think it's probably our party specific, but you just tend not to like them. I think it's because I try hard to make them important, and that sort of ruins the entire character.
I, I,
Um,
I swear I don't intentionally try to hate ridiculously crafted NPCs.
I think it's worked better in the campaign that you've done now, because your world is a lot bigger, and you've thrown a lot more NPCs that are important at us, so we can't judge at a glance which one may or may not be evil because you've put so many out there. And that's sort of what I do. Like, I have planned ones out that are for plot specific, but probably not enough for this particular party. But like my goobers, like my goblins or my like gill or whatever,
Oh, the new
there's
Colian City
so many
guys
of
too.
them.
I love them.
Yes. That I have so many of them that you also can't tell if one of them may or may not be important. Like the NPC that I created, session 1, was some random magic old guy that could steal magic. He was improv completely. And the players could not decide whether or not he was important. And a session later, I had him accidentally fall down a rope and die. And that was the most surprised I've probably ever made the party. Was I killed an NPC they thought was important because he wasn't.
You're telling me he wasn't? Because this is the first time hearing of it. Because I think there's still been debate on whether he was or not.
Well, I'm still considering of whether or not to make his story important because you liked him so much.
That's so funny
But
though.
I was like, I need them just a way to come together, so I'm gonna throw some NPCs at him.
I don't know. I'd
And
say I
he was just one of them.
liked him per se. He was a pain in the butt to deal with, but he did seem important.
He was
He
so
did seem
funny.
important.
I
Yeah, he was
think-
improv.
So I assume he's improv most of the time, but in your current campaign as well, I really like your way of dealing with your group companion that follows us tire swing.
Ah,
And
yes,
and that you specifically made him a Deus Machina, where like no one can perceive him until they actively remember him.
yeah. He's an intentional character too.
Right. No, and
I rarely use him, and he sort of just is only help. He's specifically only helpful to the party, and he's stupid. So everybody just sort of looks the other way, and they forget about him all the time. Even
all
like
the
out
time.
of game, they just forget about him.
Can I ask y'all a question? Like,
Go
what
ahead.
sort of collective trauma has your group gone through that your assumption is every NPC that like might have importance is evil?
That was before my
Like,
time.
what happened in a campaign to make you so like suspicious of people?
I think Ryan's gonna have to be the one to answer that because I've been the majority DM.
Uh, mm,
I don't know. You know what?
I
Oh, sorry. Go
I
ahead.
don't. I genuinely don't think it is your NPCs. I think it is when we started D&D. Because
Oh, that's a good point.
when
Age.
we started, a lot of us were not exposed to it before. You were the one that kind of brought us in on our original group. And at least for me, it was like a very immediate obsession. And so
Oh.
kind of all these standard tropes I kind of absorbed through mass consumption of various media. And I think there becomes a very there's a stereotype / joke of the DM's out to get you. He's always conniving. He's always planning something evil. Don't trust anyone. Don't trust anything. It could be a mimic or someone out to kill you. And I also think there's a little bit of greed / loot goblin, and it's like, that guy has something cool. What if I had it?
It's kind of like reminds me of Raj. The last time we played our 3-5 game, they're like trapped in this pocket dimension right now. Raj is walking from like room to room and like shoving just expensive things in his bag of holding.
Oh yeah. Well, there's a whole table filled with very fine silver utensils and cutlery and whatever. And I asked just offhandedly, because I wasn't going to take it originally, and then I asked offhandedly, how much would one of this be? And you're like, whatever gold for one plate. And I'm like, what? How many plates are there? So yeah, I just stuffed the entire thing into a haversack or whatever.
That just sounds like opportunity. It's like, I
Oh,
have a bag and there's
totally
things to be held.
It's totally opportunity. Don't get me wrong. That's exactly what.
And then after I did all that, you're like, dang, that's some dude's dishes. And I was like, oh. I didn't think about that, but I'm keeping them now.
My food.
I think I'm the one who pointed out it was some dude's dishes.
It was Ryan.
Oh,
who
it was
pointed
you?
it out. There was no judgment from me. I put it in front of you like you put a carrot in front of a pig. You know.
Once I knew the price tag, I'm like, yeah, I'm taking this. But otherwise, I wasn't interested in it.
No, that's exactly what it was.
Not to mention, the dude literally helped us multiple times, and then you're still stealing from him.
Exactly. We saved that dude's life, and from probably eternal torture and torment, he'll be fine. He's a king or whatever.
He's a king. He's a king. He's a king.
He's a city lord.
He's also an XPC too.
So he's probably got money.
I would hope so. I haven't got.
What's he doing
far.
eating an entire buffet of silver dishes too?
It's in his fancy dining room in his king floor or whatever.
Nah, that's too much. That's
like
greed.
He's where the king eats.
Nah, eat the rich.
No, you said this is an NPC. This isn't my elf, is it?
No, this is no. So this is Carter. So our buddy Carter, who is currently dead.
May he rest in peace.
Yeah, that's the joke. He's on a religious mission. He'll be back in a little while. But no, it's Carter. So Carter is a dark elf paladin from the first campaign he joined. And I've been doing this thing. And actually, I did want to talk about this when it comes to NPCs, because I like doing this, and I hope you guys have liked it too.
Oh, I love it.
Where it's like, because I've finally settled on one world, like I've gotten my sillies out on world building, and I just want to focus on one. I've pooled all of our past PCs, so everyone, including me, all of our past PCs in a file, and when I'm like, oh, I think this would be a good opportunity to introduce them again, I bring out a player's PC and make them an NPC. And obviously, I normally ask permission, right? Like, I emailed Carter and was like, can I use FAF, right? And I've asked permission from these two, and they just gave me their characters, which very lovely. Thank you so much. So,
yeah,
like, I have characters coming up, but so it's not your elf. Your elf is in a fortress in some mountain somewhere else.
I see.
But yeah, so I made Carter's dark elf. He's a king of a city in like my world's version of the Underdark. And they got trapped because of this really nasty evil sword that the evil faction in the Underdark, because I've got it where it's like the dark elves are currently at war because they're not, inherently evil.
What a wild take.
And so like they're in this like whole civil war because there are evil dark elves and in like a last ditch effort to kill Faf and destroy the city, they trap them in like a pocket dimension basically. So it's a whole thing. I don't know, I'm having fun with it, but
I'm really excited for any of my characters to make an NPC appearance.
I have one. So I have Gidget in particular.
Gidget
is with an NPC that Caitlin made for me.
Oh, nice.
My sister Caitlin made. They're technically in Brightforge right now. So when you guys ever get back to there, that'll probably be a thing.
Gidget was a fun one.
Gidget was a cool character. I liked Gidget.
She is one of those characters that I have made with the intent of being non-chaotic, and she has suffered from my poor reputation.
Also, I think I think that you specifically, both as a player and a DM, are the most proficient at improv,
Yeah.
and so your characters' personalities, both
I tend to do
as
what's
NPCs and
funny,
PCs.
which hurts me in the long run, usually, depending on the character.
Yeah. Which I don't, I don't want to knock that at all, because I have enjoyed your games immensely, Ryan. One of my favorite characters has come out of your game, and I think that game is still incredibly memorable, right?
Oh yeah.
And so this is just my quick disclaimer that it's as a DM or as a player or other things, you don't need to be proficient in improv at all, right? I think sometimes it requires a little more planning and a lot of trial and error, because I can think of NPCs I've introduced as well that I'm like, wow, that just didn't go over super well as an NPC. It didn't work out how I wanted it to, or they were kind of apathetic to it. So which I'm now I'm actually trying to think of a really good example, but I'm only focused on the current campaign, which I was I don't think any of my NPCs have really fallen.
No, we've been good for your game this time.
Yeah.
I think
I feel.
the notable part about NPCs though is the vast majority are probably not going to be memorable because they serve a specific instance and a specific plot point, right?
Yeah.
Right.
They
A lot of times, oh, I love the silly guy that eventually gets adopted by the party, but the vast majority is I talk to this dude, he gives me the information, we go on our merry way.
right. Exactly. It's as a DM, right? You don't need to role play all of the shopkeepers and give them backstories, or you don't need to deeply role play the farmer. You can just say they walk up to a farmer. It's hey, you approach this farmer and you ask him your question and he gives you the answer, right? And you can just go on your merry way. It doesn't have to be some grand improv scene with a lot of NPCs. I would say
Exactly, right? And the only times where I'm really leaning on the improv are usually when I have a really good idea for who I know this NPC wants to be, right?
right.
Mapito in our current Kingmaker campaign came to
Mapito.
me like a brook of caffeine fueled haze at 2 a.m. where I was what would be brilliant is a short map seller named Mapito, but his name's actually Gustavo. But everyone just calls him Mapito because he's short and sells maps, right? I thought that'd be hilarious. He's not gonna show up again outside of that instance. But for me, amazing instance,
I
right?
loved Mapito. That was such a great moment.
But he serves his purpose and he doesn't have to show up again. And if you interact with another shopkeep, he's probably just a dude that's at his 9 to 5 that's what do you want? I don't I'm only here because I have to work. You're here because you need things. Let's get this over with.
Yeah, no, and it's to Ryan's point on the Great and Wise Couch Potato NPC, wandering NPCs that come in and out, or things oh shoot, I was just thinking about them. Tire Swing, right? They come in and out, and you have kind of thoughts about this. That's what I've been trying to do with the Traveling Merchants Guild, which I introduced a while back. And you guys haven't had a whole ton of time to interact with them, but I think while they're not super distinct in maybe personality all the time, they serve a really good function, which obviously NPCs need to do. So
Traveling Merchants Guild would be a great place for Franqueo Diviani.
it would be actually. Where's my notes? It's is a good point.
Because that's what his whole thing is. He's a merchant.
I totally
Complete
forgot
aside,
about that.
maybe mostly for Ryan, but a great plot twist for maybe the Great and Wise Couch Potato is if he's frequently showing up and they're selling him things, make him an end dungeon boss where he fights everybody with all the stuff you've sold him eventually.
Oh, that'd be sick, actually. I wouldn't want to fight the Green Wise Couch Potato, though. He is
He's very
he has been portrayed as higher than God.
I have never. I didn't even mean for it to be that way, but I was. He totally has. Yeah. That becomes a mistake too, with some of my NPCs that travel the dimensions or whatever, where I'm yeah, they're super OP.
I think
Every once in a while that becomes all right, though.
I think also just some parties really bounce off of NPCs, especially when you have parties that tend to be murder hobos. I feel like sometimes groups can kind of drift off and on with that, especially how they're feeling on the day. I usually try and put in a genuine effort to like make people think about what they're gonna do with an NPC before just tossing them, both as a player and DM. Um, and
Yeah,
so sometimes you just kind
No,
of think about
that's
party
definitely fair.
composition.
Because, like, for example, in the Star Wars campaign my brother ran, he introduced an NPC that was rude, and we like threw him out of an airlock. Like, didn't even give two thoughts about it.
yeah, no, and that's one of those moments where as a DM you were like, wow, I think everyone needs to shift alignment after that.
That's
I
also
was
the
already chaotic evil, so
that's one of the big divides between being a solo storyteller, like a writer or something like that, and being a player in an RPG, is that you don't tolerate intolerance at all. If somebody's mean to you and you have the power to kill them, you probably will, unless there's like a really bad consequence to doing it. There's no nuance to NPC characters when it comes to interacting with players,
Oh no, and it's like
or at least very rarely.
to like Ryan's point, I think he's done a good job of like introducing consequences for things, because it's like Ryan hyped up in his campaign this like evil king that was doing evil things and starting a war and trying to take over the world and stuff, and Raj ultimately had his character side with an evil god, and that was a whole thing, right? But we come to find out later that the king was evil because of a dark influence under his castle, and not because he was like actually evil, right? And it's like I
Rest in
don't
peace, Marcus.
I don't I don't know, Ryan, if you had planned that out from the start or not. But like as players, if we hadn't been so gung ho on like, oh, this NPC is, or this king NPC is evil, we just got to go get him. If we had like thought for a second about more of the implications and maybe investigated more as players, we might have stumbled upon the crazy tomb of evil or whatever that was under the castle.
The giant evil spider, yeah.
Yeah.
Although I do
Yeah.
think it was funny in that same campaign, I had kind of like a group of assassins for hire that were all werewolves, and only one person was ever worried about them because they were nice people.
Was it me?
What they were
It
doing
feels
was
like it
effing
was
No,
you.
evil.
Marcus
Was
was.
it
Marcus
Marcus?
didn't like the werewolves because they
It was
openly
Marcus.
admitted to murdering people.
And like they were nice people when they weren't, out doing their business, but
But because they were nice to the party, suddenly they were friends instead of foes.
Okay.
even though they were super evil.
Which,
Like I said,
to be
there's
so
rarely
fair,
any nuance when it comes to party
it's
interactions.
so fair is, I don't know if it's just us. I assume it's other groups. I'm definitely going to assume. So, hey, DM tip for all the DMs out there. You want to make a bad guy that is like trying to not, have the party know he's a bad guy. Just have him be nice to the group.
Can be nice.
He gives
Buy them
like
one
an
drink and
apple,
they'll be loyal to you
buys him a
forever.
drink, yeah. And then just start slowly interjecting like more and more like problematic things that he does. And then
They
have
won't
the group
care.
just be like, hey, wait a second,
but like
My
to my
dream-
earliest point, brother, like whether a party likes or dislikes them usually comes down to like how nice or not nice someone is. If I want them to fight them, be a dick. If I want them to like get along, be nice, right?
Which is,
Like,
okay, so to be so fair with Stone Tongue was so mean to you guys. And the party wanted him so badly.
it's like that girl that like is not into you, but you're like, I really want her to be into me.
Oh, no. It's a toxic relationship, but she's so pretty.
I think
No,
I
but,
think
like-
there's another dynamic that comes into play when it's knowing how much power you have over the NPC. I mean, we can go to Roger's campaign where we have a pirate skull that talks, that is
Yeah.
just a jerk all the time, but we keep him around
But yeah, he can't do nothing to you,
for
so we
various
might as well keep him.
reasons. Yeah.
I don't know. I'm a little worried he actually is doing something, and it's gonna like come back to bite us super hard later.
No, don't worry. I'm gonna sell
I
him
can't
off for
comment on that right
300,000 gold. 300,000 gold. I'm owed.
I want the 1,000 gold. That NPC is so mean. I hate him so much. It's like there's another NPC that Raj introduced that's currently like stalking my kobold.
Yeah.
The only way I can phrase it, we're like
It's a monk elf lady that really wants his kobold to also be a monk.
to be a monk, which it's like It's like, was it because she just like thinks you should be a monk? Did she have like an oracle thing? I thought it was like an oracle thing. All I know is she wants him to be a monk, and
She wanted him to get over his obsession with magic because they were in an anti-magic island that made him really depressed because he could no longer taste the blueberries in the air or whatever.
yeah.
And so she wants to help him and become a monk, get rid of his obsession with
His
magic.
obsession with magic, and like, my kobold, for reference, I made it as like a small little joke where when he's connected to like the magic of the world because he's a sorcerer, like when he can feel magic, he's constantly able to taste blueberries. Like everything just kind of has a blueberry taste to the air. And when there's no magic, the air is disgusting because it's no longer tasting like blueberries. That's one of those quirks that just was an accident too.
I was gonna say, relating back to an earlier point, my dream as a DM when I'm in that position is to have a character that I can make have some really complicated emotional strife with the party. Whether that's, he starts off really nice and then turns out he was evil, or the NPC that they love has to die for some reason. I don't know that I've ever had
Killing Pendragon.
I don't know if I've ever had super emotional impact with my NPCs, but like that's kind of one of my dreams, is to have that deep conflict where a choice has to be made and an NPC is going to suffer because of it.
And that's very fair, Ryan, because like with Stone Tongue, like we were so emotionally invested in that kobold, my brother was like, I have to kill him, like it's the only choice we have left, right? Which like led to like us burning down an inn. We had to use a wish to undo everything. Like it was wild.
Yeah, I think I kind of have to tell this story now because the context is, and the problem is like I don't even remember the full thing. I just remember
I
us
would
trying
be
to keep the
happily
story
regaling the
chugging.
story, brother.
Huh?
I would happily regale the
Oh
story,
sure,
at least
go
what I
ahead.
remember
Go
of it.
ahead.
Because like we've already established that like Stone Tongue was like a silly little kobold. He's just trying to sell things, and so like the idea was is like as an NPC, like as we're clearing out enemies, he's like going through and like not collecting the good loot, but like picking up like the shiny knickknacks to sell to people, right?
Spoons and forks.
Spoons and forks, because he's trying to be an entrepreneur, right? And so he's been partying with us for a while, and I have a tendency to play very fast and loose as a character.
The word is
Mostly
chaotic.
yes, it is. To Roger's point earlier, like he's doing it because it's silly. Usually my driving motivator is what can make this interesting in this session, right?
Yeah,
Which tends
yeah.
to be on the chaotic side. But that's usually my driving motivator, is like what can I do as a character that will make this scene interesting? Whether that's for example, betraying the party because the bad guy said, "Hey, you want to join up?" And I was like, "Sure, why not?" Right? Anyways, but so we get into town, and I'm playing a very, very horny bard who is just trying to sell like erotic literature, but nobody wants to buy his erotic literature.
Except
So
for our paladin, I mostly I did it as a joke, and I did tell the group, I was like, you don't actually have to be a fan if you don't want to, but I was like, roll to see if your character knows who he is and if you like his books, right? And Rob rolls like a 20, like I just had him do like a straight, or no, it was a percentile. I had him do a percentile, and Rob rolls a 100, right? And so I'm like, not only would your character know who he is, he has like a small collection of his novels, right? And I tell Rob, I'm like, you don't actually have to if you don't want to. And Rob's like, no, I'm gonna do it, right? And so his character, this paladin, this devout paladin of Lathander, super lawful, has a secret stash of the bard's erotic literature in his bag.
We all
which
need our
I'd written
vices.
I'd written like all sorts of crazy novels. I had like Come Hell or High Water or like a bunch of like, wait a minute, that's not a tale. Like the Lusty Argonian Maid I stole from Skyrim. I think he was on volume 7 that he was writing of that. But anyways, right? So like we get into town, and it was like a like down session. Idea being like we had just finished, our contract, and it's like, okay, like go buy things, go do things. And for whatever reason, shopping episode, like right. But so my bard had decided, I was like, what would be crazy is like we have a druid in the party. So I was like, what if we kicked up this money scheme where we have the druid wild shape into a turkey and we start a cockfighting ring? And then
along with it just fine too.
Yeah. So Carter goes along with it. So we start this like cockfighting ring, and basically like every fight was we would just decide whether the over or the under one based off which had more, right? So like Carter would either win the fight or throw it, and we would, make off with the money.
Yeah.
Um, so we start this cockfighting ring, and things are going crazy. We finish up, and Carter decides he wants to go shopping, so he goes and gets a deck of many things, which
Oh man,
is
Carter
very
and Deck of
infamous,
Many Things is crazy.
right? Ends very badly every time. My brother's like, "No, you have to roll like really well." He like nails the roll, and my brother's like, "Son of a," right? So Carter, like, I don't know for whatever reason, like my brother didn't impose limits on the draw, so
That's
Carter
on
just
me.
starts
That's on
like
me.
rip.
I totally. There is rules that's like they only get like one draw or something. I, for whatever reason, had glanced over that sentence or hadn't been paying. He just went for it though.
Right. So Carter's like c'est la vie and just starts like ripping out draws. Right. We went through the entire deck
The
that session.
entire deck. Of
The
many.
entire deck.
Carter
Well,
and the party went
nearly
through
the entire deck.
I think there were 3 cards left, and they were the 3 worst ones.
Oh my
Yeah, like,
goodness.
through sheer luck, we avoid the worst ones, right? So like people are becoming lords, gaining a bunch of levels, like cash all around, right?
Our
As we're
paladin
like,
suddenly has like a squire. Like
yeah, we're like ripping through this deck, right? And one of the cards in the deck you can pull, I forget which one it is, but it's like somebody in the world like becomes your like nemesis, right?
Mhm.
And so my brother's like, "Ee-wah," like revenge time, because by this point he's like, I don't even know what's going on. Like there's cockfighting rings, a deck of many things. Like this session's already getting out of hand. It's only going to escalate from here. Plot spoilers, right? So he decides to make the barkeep our nemesis that we're staying at, right?
Oh.
And so um, he doesn't inform us of this. So we finish drawing from the deck of many things, and we go to like end the night. But I'm not done being like a chaotic like chaos gremlin. So I'm like, hey, is there like anybody like rich or important staying at the inn? And my brother's like, yeah, I guess. So I'm like, I'm gonna go steal from this guy, right?
Yeah,
so,
as you do.
The party starts trying to like cause a scene down below as I go to break into this room and steal the stuff. I'm unaware that like my brother at this point is just tired of my shenanigans, right? So he like traps the room and traps the chest within it. I fail the rolls and like a fireball goes off, so now the inn's on fire, right?
Hmm.
Um, at this point, I think is when you sprung the like innkeeper trap. So now we're like in a fight, right? Because I'm trying to rob the like noble. I've lit the inn on fire. And so like it's chaos all around. And at this point, he has like the innkeeper murder stone tongue, right? Which like at this point, like my bard is very attached to him. So I just see red and I'm like, I'm gonna murder this innkeeper, right? The party's like, you're chaotic good. Like that's not within your alignment. I'm like, don't care. Like I'm murdering this innkeeper right then and there. He just murdered my favorite kobold. I don't care what the consequences are. Like I'm killing him, right? I think at this point, like the inn is burnt down. Most of the NPCs in the inn are dead. I've murdered the innkeeper. The guard are like arresting everybody, and Stone Tongue is dead, right? Which is why my brother is saying, like, I have lost all control of this.
I legitimately don't remember a lot of this because I was just trying to keep the session alive.
So at this point, our one of our other players at the table, Levi, is like, fellas, like this has gotten really out of hand, right? We're like, now you speak up, but like, so he's like, I have a wish. How do y'all feel if I like use the wish to undo everything up to when we started drawing the deck, right? So like, rewind everything at that point. So he makes a wish. My brother, in his graciousness, like lets us rewind everything. We keep the memories as like a reminder of like, hey, don't go too far, right? So like we managed to undo everything. At which point we have to have like a party powwow because I managed to pawn all the blame off onto Carter.
I don't know how you did that, by the way. Because I remember
Like-
that. They were like so mad at Carter, and I was like, he didn't even do like half of this.
So like despite being the like agent of chaos, I convinced the party that like the druid is at fault because he's the one that started this with the deck, right? And so we have like a giant party vote. He like ends up having to pay this like massive fine to the party to like repay his debt for how much damage he caused. But so like that's the story.
It was because like Carter had drawn cards that were super detrimental to the party, and they lost a bunch of stuff because he was carrying like important magic items too.
Hmm.
I think that was mostly the driving factor. Was Carter pulled the card that like wipes away all of your magic items.
Yeah.
And like, to be fair, and this is totally on me, right? And I recognize this, and at that, like, and this is very much hindsight because I had forgotten about it by that point. Was Levi had like rewound time to before they drawn the deck, which means Carter should have had all his stuff, and no one should have had anything they drew from that deck, right? But because I was like so focused on like I am so confused on what has happened, because it was like I said, I lost all control. It was full improv that entire time. Like, I forgot that they went back to before they pulled the cards. And so they shouldn't have had anything, but I let them keep it because I just, like, it's one of those moments as a DM where you're just like, I have no idea what's happening. I don't know.
Yeah, so that's the story. Like, admittedly, like, that's very reflective of me in, like, real life. I'm, like, instigate a bunch of things and then just shift blame to others, but, like,
Wow. Yeah, that's
admittedly,
hilarious.
as a player, you know, having since DM since then, it's like I can see where it's like now I'm like, okay, like there's obviously points where I need to like scale it back because I don't want to escalate to the point that the DM's just like, we're gonna make up everything because you have like thrown this entire session into absolute chaos, right?
Right. And it's like don't get me wrong, it's always the rule is make plans, prepare to throw them away.
Yeah.
And that was one of those sessions where I just like I think it all just caught me off guard because it was supposed to be like a shopping episode and then move on to their next quest, and it turned into like a 5-hour burn the whole town down, draw an entire deck of many things, fight turkeys.
For sure. But like my biggest takeaway as a player was like it's fine to be a chaos goblin at points, but like it's always to make things interesting. Like don't cause the DM to throw all his prep away. Don't like go to so far that the DM's just like, I have no idea what's going on. Like screw it, we ball.
Oh boy.
So I've tried to rein it back since that session, you know.
No, and I think you've done good. And I think with the end of that story, I think we'll call it there. Thank you, fellas, for joining me.
Happy to be here, though I did miss the D8 podcast.
Yeah, I think the D8 podcast is stupid.
Yeah.
Well,
Also,
that's
if
your
there
opinion, I
actually is
guess.
a D8 podcast, I'm so sorry.
No, I'm not. We're gonna fight you.